It is called the Orion Entrepreneur Space Academy. Orion, one of the nebulas where stars are born. Entrepreneur, because Hong Kong is basically about business and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneur is the creation of business with a space context. New businesses create jobs. So when we talk about space economy, we have to think about jobs. Now these are relevant. And why Space Academy? Because this is a leadership development accelerator. We accelerate leaders and startups for the world, beginning from Hong Kong.
It's like United, but it's very pretty.
Space is for everybody. Everybody, not only for certain individuals, but it is for everybody, all humanity. Second, the space economy is already here. And so we have a lot of pioneers who've joined forces with us. Why is it important that you need to get involved now? Because if we miss this opportunity, it's going to be difficult. And a third is about young people. We need young people, new leaders who can inspire us and take us to the next level. So these are our 3 beliefs.
Come join OASA. The future is already here.
Come join OASA. Be a member.
Come join OASA. Be a space pioneer.
Come join OASA. Let's work together.
Good morning, everyone. A very warm and big welcome to OASA's grand opening. My name is Aaron. I'm one of the non-executive directors at OASA, and also I'll be your MC today. I wish everyone a happy Chinese New Year. OASA actually started in September last year. We've been doing a lot of interesting work in Hong Kong and also in Greater Bay. And the official day we picked was actually 12th of February 2021. Which is the number combination is an interesting one because it's a mirror reflection on its own. So you can read from left to right, from right to left. It's all the same. We are really grateful that you can join us on this opening today. And I would like to introduce our 5 speakers who welcome you to OASA and to give you a bit more context about why we do what we do and how you can get involved. First up, we're going to have our chairman and acting chief executive, Professor Greg Lee, who's going to give us a welcoming message. And then we're going to have our 2 vice chairmen, Mr. Perry Lam and Mr. Hubert Lam, who's going to come and talk to you about 2 of our key missions. And after that, we're going to have 2 of our international council members, Professor Stephen Zheng and Professor C.K. Cho, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about what we do. Now, I'm just going to pass the floor to our chairman and acting chief executive, Greg. And Greg is going to share a bit more about why he started OASA. Please, Greg.
Thank you, Aaron. Kong Yi Fat Choi. Happy Year of Ox. Okay. Welcome sponsors, partners, friends. And I understand you're zooming in from Helsinki to Hawaii to Vienna. So we have a lot of people here. And special welcome to our sponsors. I believe we have over 50 with only a few months. So the ecosystem is getting more vibrant. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you to the backup team with Fletcher somewhere. Thank you to the team here at The Wave. The Wave is a co-working space, and we love to have a partner like them. And you need to come here next time, okay? So who is OASA? Why OASA? Where is OASA? Okay? It's very important you understand that. And before I begin, are you convinced? Let me try to convince you with 3 facts, okay? Fact number 1. Now, those of you may not know that the space economy is huge. How big? $400 billion now. About the size of the Hong Kong economy. You look at it, isn't that big. But despite COVID, this is one of the few economies that's continued to go upwards. Okay? By the end of the decade, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley estimate in the trillions of dollars. So what is going on? Second, China in 2014 says private sector get involved. Now, as you know, in the US, we have SpaceX. In China, we have iSpace. Things are moving so fast, okay? And it's very important you become part of this ecosystem. Now, there's over 100 startups in China already. And many of them are saying, why can't we list in Hong Kong? Well, the situation is many people in Hong Kong may not understand what is a space economy. It's very difficult. We should have a fast track. And that's one of the reasons why we're here. So, perfect place. Now, the third reason is we're perfectly behind. Okay, how behind are we? Singapore started the NASA equivalent 10 years ago. When we investigated this about space, CubeSat, okay, we found out that countries, our good neighbors like Singapore, Philippines, Cambodia, even Nepal, had CubeSat program for their high school kids. They were teaching the young how to build satellites. Now, satellites is 20 years old, it's old technology. So these days, we're talking about CubeSat, thumbsats, even smaller. So one of our mission will be exactly that, okay, to enrich, to build the learning. So perfect time, perfect place, and we're perfectly behind. So, but the good thing is, we stood on the shoulder of giants like Sir David Atkins-Jones, who says, Greg, don't just sit there, do something. And we got a bunch of very good volunteers, 70 so far, and says, why wait? Hong Kong, this is the time, the perfect place. So, what is OASA? What do we believe in? There's a proverb, Chinese proverb, that says, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. The next best time is now. That's why we're doing it now. Now, if you're an astronaut, you fly into space, you begin to achieve something called the overview perspective. You find out that this Earth has no boundaries. Now, this is a different perspective I think that we humans need to gain. Where is OASA? OASA is in Hong Kong, but we can be anywhere. And although this is our first location, we like to be in Shenzhen next, in Singapore, in different places. And it's going to be open source, so you can be part of this ecosystem. And why Hawaii? Now, very important. Why can't I live in Hawaii, start a business in Hong Kong, create a business, sell my product in Vienna, using 3D printing, print it in Vienna, and if you have a problem with this, we can do an online dispute resolution. Now, all these things are in place. We need to scale it, okay? So, how quickly should we need to move? Very fast. Who is OASA? We are scientists, pioneers, astronauts. We are the mentors. We are the young who are lost. We are the young who are not lost, who see in a bigger world. We have a council of international luminaries, and it's going to be over 50 pretty soon. We have a board of directors. We have an audit committee. We're in an NGO. We are not-for-profit. We even have a chief compliance officer and a data officer. So we're at the edge of corporate governance, making sure that things are done properly. Why now? Lastly, perfect time, perfect place, perfect context. A new space is not just about sending rockets and satellites up there. It is about the data coming down, right? It is about data we're going to use for smart city. Without that, there is no smart city. It is about autonomous vehicles, right? It goes to the 5G, 5G goes to the satellite. And to do this, the aim of OASA is we believe Hong Kong can become a space portal by 2030. It's only 9 years now, okay, 9 years away. So we have 3 missions. If we can achieve any one of those, we should be closer. First mission, working backwards, is that we want to see more space pioneers. So by 2025, definitely, we need people down on Earth. We can work with people on the moon base, on the Mars base. We need to have Hong Kong space ready. And this is Hubi's, our mission specialists, have to take this forward by 2022 or 2023. Lastly, we have a space accelerator. Okay, this is to accelerate the young people and startups. And it's a program called Young Marco Polo. And I'll let Perry to explain that. So any mission we'll do, as long as we focus on what we should be doing. Okay. Now, be well. I hope you all can gain the overview perspective. and join the ecosystem. So thank you, and Kung Fa Choi again.
Thank you so much, Greg, for the inspiring words. So Greg has just briefly touched on the 3 critical missions which OASA has set out to be doing. So we're going to spend a little bit of time to understand a bit more what these 3 critical missions are, and I'll bring up a bit more speakers to share those wisdom with you. Our first mission is Space Accelerator, which we're looking to accomplish in 2021. Space Accelerator is all about elevating the next generation leadership and startup and helping them to connect to the emerging digital and space economy. Mr. Perry Lam, one of our vice chairmen, is going to be the mission champion and specialist for this important mission. Now, I met Perry on a personal level, and he's a fantastic communicator and motivator. And he runs a very successful company called Lam Institute, where he coaches C-level and senior executives on executive presence. Perry has also taught and coached a lot of TEDx speakers. Perry, over to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Gong Hei Fa Chair, everyone. I'm Perry Lam, Vice Chair of OASA Hong Kong. And with that, I'd like to spend a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about Mission 1. What is Mission 1? It's all about Space Accelerator. Our goal is to enable Hong Kong's talent startups to be prepared for the future. The future of what? The space economy. And the reality is not the future of tomorrow, it's about the future of today. With that, our Mission 1's focus in the following areas. Number 1, looking at leadership and startups. How do we accelerate their capabilities? How do we accelerate their human capital to meet the opportunities for the space economy? The other area to look at is what we call the Moonshot Mission Masterclass. And with that, as such, looking at opportunities to develop programs which will be launching in April in monthly webinars. And the third area is to begin now, we've actually established monthly tasters in which we look at from entrepreneurship to entrepreneurship. Allow me to elaborate a little bit further. Our faculty are world-class business leaders as well as academics, focusing in the areas of facilitation, mentoring, and executive coaching. I had a client in Europe, James, and James said to me many months ago, he said, Perry, working with you, I've discovered whole new meaning in terms of my ability as a leader to be more successful. My hope is this, can we do something with the youth to give them the capabilities to be able to develop their leadership skills at a younger age? And this is something we've incorporated in terms of Mission 1. So as you can see here, we have faculty that will support that from the area of executive coaching. And you don't have to wait now to C-level. We're actually bringing the executive coaching down to the masses in terms of our programs. Also mentoring in terms of small groups, and of course the facilitation in terms of our Moonshot Masterclass programs. Nextly, let's thank our partners, our sponsors who've given us the opportunity to support our missions in this critical area. So we'd like to acknowledge their efforts as well as their ongoing continued support. Let's now talk about our quarterly programs that we've established with Cyberport in terms of entrepreneur webinars. We had one back in December 17th in which we looked at doorways to the space economy. And with that, as you can see here, we have an astute group of speakers, starting with, to my particular left, Fujian from Fresco Capital, Professor Quentin Parker from LSR and Hong Kong U, obviously Dr. Greg Lee from HKU, and a very successful and strong supporter of ours, Rosanna Wong, who's a strong entrepreneur within Hong Kong and a passion for success in our mission. We're excited coming up in our quarterly programs, March 15th, in which we have the pleasure and the honor to have actually astronaut Christopher Altman. And Christopher Altman will be sharing with us commercialization of the space economy. So the third part in terms of our Mission 1 is the following. The young Marco Polo's program. And with that, what we'd like to do is bringing the talents from Hong Kong, putting them abroad, giving the opportunity to develop their skills, their expertise, and then bringing them back to Hong Kong to share that in terms of their learnings, their best practices, and how then we could support Hong Kong's future in various areas, including the social development goals. So with that, I'd like just to say the following. The future is not tomorrow, the future is today. And with OASA Hong Kong, the future is here and now. Please join us in being part of this exciting mission. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Perry. So Perry just went through a few different initiatives that will be running for the first mission, Space Accelerator, whether it is the masterclass or the webinars or the Young Marco Polo program. We got something in store for you. So if you're interested in developing your leadership and exploring new possibilities beyond the sky, remember to reach out to Perry. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the second mission, which is Space Ready, which we're looking to accomplish by 2023. Now, in this mission, we're going to run programs like the CubeSat exploration. And the idea is to create and hitch miniature satellites and shoot it up to the skies and to the stars and beyond. And these CubeSats will help us make our city, Hong Kong, even smarter. And the goal here is to spark interest in applied science and innovation amongst the young generation and young entrepreneurs. I'd like to bring up our next speaker, which is also one of our vice chairmen, Mr. Hubert Lam. Hubert has a fascinating background. He's like our foreign minister and had a native New Yorker and also worked as a legal counsel at financial institutions and law firms, including Morgan Stanley. He was also once a public information representative at the UN. He's currently pursuing new space education, early music, and mentoring young adults. Now, Hubert, can you please share with us how can you help us get Hong Kong and Greater Bay space ready? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Hubie Lam, Vice Chairman of OASA, and I'm here to talk about Mission 2. May I have the first slide, please? So Mission 2 is about connecting to space with CubeSats. Mission 2 aim is to help students become space knowledgeable and capable so that they're ready to face the opportunities and challenges of the growing global space economy. Now, what are CubeSats? CubeSat is a small 10-centimeter cube satellite. They're made from commercial off-the-shelf components to collect data for educational, scientific, and commercial applications. They were developed first in California by two professors in 1999 to make it easy and inexpensive for students to take part in space missions. And since 1999, they've grown to take on commercial applications as well. Now, over 70 countries have launched over 1,400 satellites since 1999. We see that the USA has launched over 1,000, and they have encouraged students to take part in CubeSat missions from university level to secondary school and even elementary school level through various CubeSat competitions. In the EU, they've launched over 150, and the European Space Agency has a well-known Fly Your Satellites program. Now we see in Asia, China is in the lead with 79, and then there's Japan and Russia. Japan is notable because they have encouraged developing countries to get involved in the space economy by launching their own CubeSats. So for example, they helped Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Philippines launch their first CubeSat through the Japan facilities on the International Space Station. Now, if we look across the world and we see so many places where students have the opportunity to learn about the space economy by engaging in hands-on learning through CubeSats, we see that Hong Kong is where we haven't launched any, students in Hong Kong are missing out on learning opportunities. So our plan at OASA Mission 2 is to connect Hong Kong space community by organizing a CubeSat challenge competition this year. We hope that we can help students to design, build, and deploy their own CubeSat prototype to gather data and then apply them to essential use cases. There's many benefits to be had from CubeSat education. First, they spark innovation and creativity. Students have a chance to do hands-on learning, develop teamwork, learn leadership. It also engages the schools and universities, as well as other organizations, to form a space community in Hong Kong. By forming the space community, this will lead Hong Kong to become space ready and eventually become a space hub, as we hope. And this will also help generate public awareness and education. So let's talk about the Hong Kong space ecosystem, what we're trying to do to connect partners and supporters, sponsors and mentors. So for example, schools. Right now, we've been in discussions with the Hong Kong U Academy for the Talented. They have over 1,000 students from 100 schools that would be very interested in joining this type of program. Universities, we have Hong Kong LSR, Hong Kong U LSR, City U, Chinese University. They actually have quite a lot of expertise in different space areas, but they're not connected with the younger students. With businesses, we have companies like the Hong Kong Aerospace Technology Group. This company is planning to launch over 100 satellites as a satellite constellation for the Greater Bay Area. Investors like Fresco, it's a venture capital company that actually invests in space startups. And then associations like the Hong Kong Amateur Radio Society that have extensive connections with space. So up to now, we've been working on generating public awareness and education through various webinars here at the Wave. The first one was on how to build your own satellite. We followed that one with 3D printing in space and space communications. In the future, we hope to have other webinars on growing food in space tourism, space resources, and remote sensing. So we hope that by doing all this education and CubeSat competition, we will help Hong Kong become space ready to face the challenges and opportunities of the new space economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for walking us through the second mission. If you're interested in how to make a CubeSat, remember to check out our second mission and talk to Huey. Now I'd like to talk to you about our third mission, Space Pioneers. Yes, you heard that right. So I think after a lot of discussions, I think Hong Kong needs a more diversified industry. And with this mission, we are talking about enabling young engineers and platform specialists working in and supporting the space economy. We aim to be placing payload specialists and flight engineers from the Greater Bay onto space stations and bases on the Moon and on Mars. The next speaker that I would like to introduce is one of our International Council members, currently based in Silicon Valley, Professor Stephen Zhang. Stephen currently teaches space entrepreneurship at HKU. He's a scientist and an engineer specialist in medical equipment and commercialization of space. He also worked at Stanford and worked on NASA-sponsored projects. And Stephen is going to help us develop more space pioneers for space stations and help us put people on the bases on the Moon and on Mars. Stephen, would you like to say a quick hello to the audience?
Greetings from California. First of all, congratulations to OASA's grand opening. I have pre-recorded a presentation, and to save time, I'm just going to bounce it off to Hong Kong and play that presentation. Back to you.
So Stephen has prepared a video for us. Let's go check it out now.
Good morning. Greetings from California. Happy Chinese New Year of the Ox. OASA has several missions. I'm here to talk about one of them. So let's start with the Apollo era, which took place sometime between 1950s to the mid-70s. There we launched rockets and humans first landed on the moon. That was an important era as it inspired a lot of new sciences. As we entered the mid-70s and going to the rest of the 20th century, based on the knowledge from the previous era, many satellites were launched. And what are the benefits that we reap? We have communications, we have navigation, we now have weather forecast. All these are important benefits, not just for economics, but education and science. During this era, we also have the first generation of space stations and shuttles. We also have scientists working on board these space stations, and we call them mission specialists. We put scientific instruments such as space telescopes in orbit to observe the universe. Around the turn of the 21st century, the new space era began. And there we saw the second generation of space stations, such as the International Space Station, ISS, and then very soon we'll have the China Space Station, CSS. And because of the previous knowledge done in the commercial satellites and so on, the commercial activities on the low Earth orbit is now very, very busy. We also have new technologies such as reusable rockets, miniaturization of satellites, and communication satellites are now launched in constellations in the hundreds and the thousands. And these all become an integral part of the global information infrastructure. And that is also a benefit to mankind. We're now just a few years away from the next era, cislunar. Cislunar covers the Earth, the Moon, and in my mind, all the way to Mars. So sometime in the next era, we're going to see humans set up camps on the Moon and then Mars. There will be more orbiting structures, such as gateways, depots, and factories, not just around the Earth, but also around the Moon and Mars and in between. We'll have machines landing on asteroids and reaping the benefits of the new space era of the commercialization of the low Earth orbit. We're going to see space tourists. And sometime during the cislunar era, we're going to see the space economy passing $1 trillion and beyond. And take a look at this photo here. Imagine that's Greg Lee taking a selfie somewhere in the low Earth orbit. So now, around the middle of the 21st century, we have another new era. And here my crystal ball can only allow me to kind of predict the next 50 years. That's when we have bigger settlements of human on the Moon and Mars, and the cislunar economy will be in full swing. Now, coming back to Earth a little bit, let's talk about the upcoming China space station. It's targeted to be launched around 2023. The structure is here in this diagram here. There are 3 modules and 2 docked vehicles transporting passengers and supplies. It's expandable by adding modules. There will be enclosures inside the space station to do scientific experiments. The life expectancy is 10 plus years. And more importantly, we're looking at the taikonauts. There will be 3 nominal and then up to 6 when there's a shift change. These taikonauts are payload specialists, scientists and doctors, as well as flight engineers looking after the space station. And their stay will be 3 to 6 months. What I'm proposing for OASA, one of the missions, is that to use the China space station as the anchor of the OASA cislunar narrative going from now till the end of the decade. In particular, I hope to see that Hong Kongers will aspire to become taikonauts. As a reference, we have 2 decades of International Space Station. The activities there can serve as blueprints for the China space station. Hong Kong can participate and benefit in many ways. Now, Hong Kong is no stranger to participate in space. Back in 2015, the Hong Kong government and the China Manned Space Agency jointly sponsored a contest in Hong Kong for middle schoolers to submit ideas of doing experiments on board the Tiangong 2. 3 experiments were selected and were subsequently carried out on board Tiangong 2 in 2016. So we are no strangers to do that. And I hope the OASA will drive another contest like this as the China space station come close. So this is my last slide, and I like to end that with a call for actions. I hope OASA will work hard to raise community interest in new space for this century. And government and schools will give their best support on pursuits connected to the space station, China space station. And OASA will embolden aspiring scientists and engineers to be taikonauts. And the academy will become the greenhouse for astropreneurship and building up the space ecosystem for the Greater Bay Area. This is all I have. I hope to see you in Hong Kong very soon. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you so much, Stephen. So the truth is, if you want to become a pioneer, space pioneer, the opportunity is here, the opportunity is now. As our chairman, Greg, has alluded in his welcoming message, there's a lot of talent at OASA since the establishment from September. There's currently 12 directors on the board. We have a data stewardship committee. We have an audit committee with an internal auditor, a chief compliance officer, a data officer, 2 company secretaries, as well as honorary legal counsels. We also have international council of experts all over the world. The US, Finland, India, Greater Bay, UK, as well as Hong Kong. Now, the next speaker that I would like to introduce has been instrumental in setting up our corporate governance and structure. He is Professor C.K. Cho. He specializes in anti-money laundering, AML, corporate governance, and more recently, space law. C.K., over to you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I want to spend the next, hopefully less than 10 minutes, telling you why I'm here and what we should be doing. About 6 months ago, I decided not to teach anymore. I want to spend more time with my grandchildren in the UK. But for many reasons, good reason, bad reason, I cannot go. So, as someone who spent 50 years of his life dealing with law, compliance, fraud investigation, and more recently, corporate governance training in the university, I have absolutely no idea why I should be involved in space law, especially when you're 68 years old. But when Greg Lee, who is my mentor, even though he's much younger than me, asked me to do it, I don't think I can say no. But I still wonder whether it's worth spending my good time with this organization. So I make my own research. I go to YouTube, like you would do, and he also convinced me that it has nothing to do with you. Maybe you're too old, but it is to do with your children. I said, my children is okay. The oldest is 50, the youngest 36. They're doing well. And he said, what about your grandchildren? Yes, I'm a grandfather with 3 grandchildren. And the little one, you will see, is wine. Like my other daughter, he is suffering from dyslexia. That means he's not able to do any so-called normal professional career, like lawyer, accountant. But I think it's okay because there will be room for him to grow. And this is what my dream will be. So the children are my future, our future, your future. And that's why I'm here. Now, we was officially incorporated after some months of preparation with the help of my good friends, May, Carmen, and many, many good people doing it on a voluntary basis. So I'm kind of startup team, and also I'm a member of the International Council. And with your permission, I will speak on behalf of the International Council about what I think, what we should be doing. And then what's the point in doing it now? Should we do it 10 years later? Is it too late? So why we are doing it? Now, as a lawyer, I have to go back to the basic. This is our official objective laid down in the Articles of Association of OASA. This is what we are supposed to do. We should be to do. We're expected to do. So we promise to do this. Well, not us forever, but I'm sure there will be younger people take up our position soon. So these are the list of things we are going to do. We promise to do. I hope we can do it. Now, I will look at space law from the YouTube. I don't have any other resources. I'm not going to do a law degree in space law if there's one. So I learned a little bit about space law. For example, I understand nobody can own the moon. It's crazy because it's just some government in our Earth agree that we should not own the moon. But what about if the moon is already owned by alien? Anyway, it's beyond the point. Another interesting thing is a lot of this startup, a lot of this, even our government-supported space program, are eventually hoping to make money by mining in the moon or the Mars. Right? 2 days ago, NASA has successfully landed something on the Mars. Right? So, can you mine something and sell it when you do not own it? I mean, it's beyond me as an ordinary lawyer. Another thing is, if somebody trying to spy on me, can I get a warrant from Hong Kong judge to stop it from doing it? When the Hong Kong law may be beyond. There's no power to do it, in my opinion. So, but there are definitely laws that we have to learn if we want to be involved in the space economy. For example, if in the future, and I think it will be very soon, we have global broadband internet from space, there will be a contract made somewhere in the sky between a Hong Kong person like me who want to take advantage of this global 5G broadband. So the contract will be signed in the space. If something goes wrong, who is going to protect me as a consumer? Things like that. Now, these are things I discovered from my YouTube, which is interesting. You should go and read it. It's only about 20 minutes. So these are all the things that's all been created in the past because of the technology. And soon, eventually, we could do more things. These are all just examples. And this is where the private sector will come in and make money and create jobs. So on the left-hand side, you've got the big players, Virgin, SpaceX, and then on the right-hand side, you have the smaller player. Some players are small, but they are old. There's one company who has been doing imaging surfaces since 1969, and they're a new, younger company, of course. So I think I'm now convinced by Dr. Greg Lee that I should spend more time, despite I'm on retirement, with this project because of this reason. Hong Kong has been built on finance, on logistics, on tourism, on properties. That's fine. But that's not fine anymore because the technology has changed the world. If we do not educate our students now and make them be able to work with the new space technologies company, then there will be no future for them. So what we should do, I think, either for us or for working with the university, we should have all these courses, which of course can be worked and combined with the new technology on AI, data analysis. And I think there will be a bridge of the traditional training and the space economy if we can do it well. So I lead you, please, to help us. Thank you.
Thank you, CK. I think you heard it well from CK. So Hong Kong has been relying on property, finance, and to a certain extent, retail and hospitality for many decades. As you have seen, technology has disrupted many of our industry sectors, and space tech is just going to be another one. I'm really grateful that I got an opportunity to be involved with OASA. When Greg first approached me with the idea of joining the board, I was like, what does space tech have to do with me? But as I've done more research, I realized that there's actually a lot of possibilities that can be found within the space tech. Now, you've heard from our mission specialists today, there are 3 different ways that you can get involved with OASA, starting from the first one, Space Accelerator. We're running different programs, including the Masterclass, the Young Marco Polo program, that you can get involved to learn about the next generation of leadership and also explore different space possibilities. The second one is Space Ready. If you're interested in learning how to create and hitch a miniature satellite and learn how to shoot it up to the space amongst the stars, you can reach out to Hubi. And lastly, if you're interested in changing your career or perhaps exploring a new career for your children, you can reach out to Professor Stephen in finding out how to become a space pioneer and potentially work at the next space stations, which will be built up in China in a very near future. I want to thank you so much for your time today, for joining us on this very important day, the grand opening of OASA. And also want to thank you, everyone involved in making this happen today. On behalf of the team, we wish all of you a healthy, successful, and blissful year of the Ox. And for those who would like to find out more information about OASA, becoming a member, and how you can get involved with the 3 missions that we've just talked about today, there's going to be a QR code which the team's going to put on Zoom shortly, and you can find out more information about us and also about the key personnel which you can connect with. Thank you so much, and I wish you well. Thank you.